At this point, there's going to be someone who's like seeing that you guys are at the quartermaster hall. A small page is going to come up to you. He is actually a gnome, and he is going to come up and say,
"Here we go.
Hello, sirs. My name is Angus. I am Denon's assistant, and I'm here to give you a tour of the forests of Arcadia. Are you ready to go?"
At this point, I'm not in the room. I'm already on the Force of Arcadia, trying to like talk to crew members and people who are building the ship and like observing.
Sure. Okay.
Sure. Lead on. And as soon as I say that, I pick Bingle up by like the scruff of his collar, and I'm just making sure that he isn't allowed to wander.
Bingle's he's sort of like slapping at your arms a little bit, but he's just sort of trying to motion for you to put him on the ground, and he's like moving his legs already, and he's very much wants to stay with you.
Those little like dog harnesses for the really small dogs for swimming. It's like a little life jacket that has the handle on the back.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you have, I don't know if any of you have ever seen it, but if you hold like a little dog over water like that, and they kind of start,
they're getting ready to
paddle
swim
above water.
Already.
Yeah,
I feel
it's almost like a briefcase of
dogs. Exactly. I feel like that's how Bingle is. I wanted to hold him and walk with him, like with his feet just barely above the ground.
All of a sudden, Bingle just goes completely still. He looks you right in the eyes. He goes, "Brother, you need to put me right the fuck down right now."
And I kind of pick him up in front of my face. I'm like, "Are you going to stay out of trouble?"
"Yes, I'm going to stay out of trouble."
All right. And I just drop him.
So Angus is kind of
just starts walking. He just starts walking next to you.
Angus is sort of like wringing his hands nervous, and he's like, "Well, okay, we could go now." And he's going to lead you to the forests of Arcadia. You're going to cross over on like a small wooden plank that goes from the ship where Denon's office was onto the sort of the deck of the ship. And it's quite sturdy. You notice that the dark black wood is almost like sleek and almost a bit shiny on first glance. It sort of catches the sun as you're going by, despite it being quite dark. It's unlike a wood you've ever seen before. It's almost eerie in a way, but you actually see the two of you, Colgrim and Bingle. You see Maylog on the deck of the ship as well, kind of poking around for himself. And Angus sort of gets the three of you together and says, our tour will commence. And so he takes you down below.
I like that.
Angus explains, now the ship is broken into 3 sections. Up at the front, there's the captain's quarters, and that's where Denon's office is, and where the captain will be piloting the ship from. Unlike most ships, this one's actually driven from the inside. And then he sort of takes you up there. You get to kind of poke your head around.
How do you see where you're going?
Oh, it's more of a point-and-shoot scenario rather than a long distance. This is a ship specifically designed by our engineers to break past the high winds and damaging weather that the storm has seemed to create around Lubec. We hope it'll work.
What do you mean?
If that's
you
the
hope?
case,
Well,
this ship just pierces something, and then you point it in a direction and you go, and that's it?
Yeah, that's a great way of thinking of it. Moving on.
It's kind of like how I like to live my life.
So he continues on the tour and explains that you're kind of moving through it's this long corridor with many rows of benches, sort of lined on either end with an aisle down the center. You can see that the benches sort of have these belts that sort of secure a rider in place. And there are really, like, that's all that's sort of in the center mass. It's just this large area, and there's enough seats you can see to pretty much put the entirety of the crew in this one area.
Okay.
Sean, and Blake, the people, would know this sort of resembles an airplane.
Oh gosh.
But no.
It's funny because as soon as you were describing, I'm like, oh my god, they're building a spaceship.
A
fantasy spaceship.
Angus then takes you to the back, which you can see is sort of this massive open hull where there are crates being stacked up that are labeled all sorts of different things. There's food, there's medicine, there's different supplies. And Angus explains, there should be enough supplies for the good people of Lubec to survive while we try to figure out what's going on here. And with all the doctors and the good volunteers that we're bringing on, we'll be able to help lots of people. And he kind of puffs up his chest a little bit in pride that his organization here is doing pretty good work. And he says, now, if you have any supplies you need, you can store them down in this back area if there's too much for you to carry. But otherwise, tomorrow we're going to be departing. So whatever you need to do before we go, get it done today. I hope you guys have a nice night, and I'm going to go and report to Denon. And he sort of does a little bow and gets on top of the ship.
Now, I just want to make it clear for everybody that Bingle obviously has never had a mirror. He's never looked in a mirror. So the word gnome and dwarf weren't really mentioned in this room. So Bingle literally doesn't really think there's anything weird about the fact that this gnome is also the same as him, because he doesn't really realize yet.
Yeah, Bingle's never...
I have given up trying to figure out Bingle as a person.
Bingle's never... Bingle hasn't had too many people interactions. This is probably the most people Bingle's been around.
I just want people to know that even though he's met a gnome, he still 100% believes he is a dwarf.
Yes. So at this point, it's about noonish. You have half of the day to kind of take care of anything else. You've supplied yourselves with some new things. Is there anything you want to do, questions you want to ask, or information you want to find out before we kind of hop to the next morning?
I would like to talk with any of the crew doctors and ask them about the purple stuff and if they've seen it before.
Okay, so there seems to be a group of people down in the back hull checking out sort of the medical supplies and sort of taking an inventory. So you'll approach one of them, and what do you say?
Are any of you the medical doctors that are going on this journey to Lubec?
So a big sort of burly, but at the same time kind of tubby man with these big hairy chops, his big sideburn chops, kind of turns to you and says, "Hi, I'm Dr. Gordman. How may I help you?"
My name is Maylog. I'm one of Denon's new adventurers. We together fought against my order's rivals, and during the fight found that they were infected with this strange purple goo that created tentacles on the body of some of the warriors. Could you tell me anything about it? Do you know anything about it?
So he's going to kind of scratch his chin a little bit and go, Well, it sounds like you're discussing dark magic, which, to be on Denon's team, I would hope you were a little more familiar with, but...
This guy, this guy is fucking...
This guy's an ass. I don't
Let
like him.
me explain it to you. I've been a doctor for, about 30 years now, and in all of my time, I've never seen such a poisonous and dangerous substance. He actually turns his back to you now, and he sort of is like almost doing sort of a soliloquy to the sky a bit, and he goes, "It is every doctor's journey to go where danger is present and help those in need, and well, it was ever since I was a child." And you can kind of tell
It's just gonna keep
he's
going.
gonna keep going on this very long rant. The other two doctors who were with him, you saw, took this moment to sprint away as quickly as possible.
I'm gonna say, "Excuse me, good doctor."
He puts his hand back. He still has his back facing towards you, and he kind of like puts it on your face a little bit, and just like a finger to the lips. He's now talking about his tenure at Breakwater, where he discovered a small fungus that infected the local children and gave them kind of like a small rash, which he was able to oust.
This guy is my new favorite fucking character of anything I've ever
Yeah,
seen.
wait a second. I think actually Malok has never talked to a doctor who wasn't a monk. This is like fascinating.
Oh, so
This
you're gonna
dude,
like prop
knows
up
lot.
a crate and kind of sit
Yeah,
down.
I'm literally gonna no, I'm not even gonna prop up a crate. I'm going to like sit down in a meditating pose, and I'm just gonna sit there and I'm gonna listen.
Okay. So he sort of regales you with
This doctor's probably just fucking loving it. It's just like, holy shit, finally.
Yeah, dude, I might have made a great friend,
Yeah.
and that's what's important to me right
he
now.
regales you with tales of all of his medical hijinks over the years. He talks mostly about solving some minor issues, his days traveling from town to town, basically calling on the sick and the poor. He even talks a little bit about being in Halen Way and helping some of the orphans that came over and curing some of the diseases that these children brought in from foreign lands and doing the rest.
Can I ask him when he was in Halen Way?
Oh, well, before you were born, it was, about 20 some odd years ago.
Okay.
How old is Malak?
How old is my character? Am I like 18?
Yeah, you're around that.
I thought it was like 24. Okay. So it could be close, but
Wait,
not
you're
that
18
close.
also?
All right. I just kind of assume. I don't think we really talked
We
about
did
how old I
because it was a certain age that wasn't old enough to fight in the arena.
That's right. I'm not even 18 yet, I don't think. I think I'm like 16 or 17.
Bingle is older than you?
Yes.
Fabulous. This is okay, fabulous.
I'm like 20-ish, so that works out too.
Perfect. Oh,
No,
man.
this actually
I
does work
forgot
out
I'm
really
so
well. We're all
young.
going to sort of fucking... This is going to be good.
All right. So, I'm just still interested in hearing all this stuff. I'm going to ask him if he ever came in contact with the Order of the Hun-He.
Oh, well, the tending of light bruises and wounds is a little bit below a doctor of my caliber, so I was never called to the temples. But I did catch a
I'm just gonna nod.
Colosseum match or two.
I'm not super interested in what his take was on the Coliseum because I also have caught every single match, clearly. So, is there more I want to learn from him? I'm gonna thank him for his time. Okay, I'm just thank you so much for telling me all your wonderful stories. I really look forward to chatting with you more. I do need to go prepare for the mission ahead, and I'm sure we can definitely talk more later on the ship. So I'll be looking out
Of course. And he turns to go and give some instruction to one of his assistants who was there previous, but on discovering that they left, kind of goes topside in a huff. Any more delightful characters that I need to make up on the spot? That you guys want to explore?
Okay, so I talked to a doctor. Now I want to go and find out if there is a hand-to-hand martial arts or simple weapon instructor on the ship.
So you would ask just any one of the elves, and there's really not anything like that on this ship.
Okay. Is there a martial instructor?
No.
Okay. In which case, I'm bummed. There's no martial instructor at all. There's still the armory. And sorry, let me think about this real quick, and then you guys can take it away. In that case, I'm gonna go to Denon's office, and while I'm walking there, maybe the other people.
No one is there, and the office is locked.
I'm anxious for adventure.
What's Bingle doing on the ship? He's basically left to his own devices.
He is, but he's noticeably more timid right now because he's in a fucking much like myself in a plane, like a tube in the sky. He's very conscious that he's in a tube on the water.
You're projecting onto Bingle?
Yes, wow. I am.
Okay, let's be honest. He already is.
This is going to be, I think,
person.
A deep dive into Blake's psyche, and I'm
psyche.
very excited.
Yeah, no fucking
I get to I get to peel back.
Blake's inner voice is.
Yeah,
Bingle
is just like that scene in Harry Potter where Voldemort is like a little fetus. Bingle is my little fetus, basically.
Wait, hold on. I'm putting that. I need to write that down in the Slack channel.
Bingle is my little fetus.
Bingle is my little fetus. This should be the tagline. Should be the
title of the episode.
Oh, Jesus. So Colgrim, what are you up to?
I don't know. I figure I just prepare, probably find some place to get a drink, and sort of while away the time. Now that we're kind of locked into what we're doing at this point, it's now just a waiting game. I'm just mentally preparing for the potential of what is to come.
Okay, so I'm gonna say it's probably closer to like dinner time, and you file into the tavern, where you can see the majority of the non-elven crew, along with some elves, are all kind of enjoying dinner and eating in this sort of common mess hall, and there's plenty of warm food. It's mostly fish, obviously, because you're on a ship. That's sort of what the elves primarily eat. But there is some like different, ales and some ciders and different things for you to drink and enjoy.
Beautiful.
I'm
in heaven.
You gotta kind of have like a little meal to yourself.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, unless the other ones, unless like Bingle shows up.
Yeah, Bingle.
I actually want to seek out Colgrim too.
Okay. So maybe the three of you are having
sane.
dinner together.
That would be Bingle's not talking much though.
Okay.
He's actually genuinely a little uneasy.
The weight is starting to weigh on to start to loom.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
Well, while we're having dinner, I guess I would just ask you guys where you're from, since we haven't really had that conversation yet.
Yeah. Well, I think we should all exchange names.
That's actually, oh my gosh, we're bad. We're bad people.
I think Denon sort of walked in and expected.
He introduced us.
He mentioned you all by name at different points, I think, but I think he sort of expected just like the three of you were in the room together, like you probably you probably did that. So maybe that's why he didn't
We're
introduce
so
you.
uncomfortable. We're
Dude,
three
it's your
people.
guys' fault. I'm 16 years old. My entire family was slaughtered like a month ago. What the fuck are you guys doing?
Hey, in my defense, the opening line for our little short friend was, "I was in prison."
Yeah, no, that's fair.
I'm an open
That's
book.
fair, which is exactly why I didn't want to talk to anyone.
I can understand,
like,
but are you going to tell us? Are you going to tell us that your family was slaughtered a month ago? Or are you just quiet and we don't know? Do we just think
just
you're
quiet.
I'm a little quiet. I'm still trying to get the feel for things. I think Colgrim is someone I can trust. I'm very
Tentative around
up
Bingle.
in the air. Yeah,
Right.
tentative's a great word for it. I'm very
as far as
tentative
because for
around
Bingle right now, obviously you're just like a dick, but he doesn't know that that happened. So like, that's what I have to do. This is like I'm new to this, right? So I have to try and make sure.
Bingle brought up that he spent a lot of time in the forest, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well then that's immediately
He's
I can
brought up everything.
I can immediately I can relate to that because I grew up on near an island that like nature in the wilderness is really, really important to where I come from.
I think Bingle would immediately start realizing that you have a connection with animals and he has a connection with animals too. His only real friends that he could talk to were like little squirrels and stuff.
Well, and you're also both dwarves, so that helps a lot.
Well,
he's not a dwarf.
I'm human.
Oh, that's right. I thought
I'm
you
a
were a
dwarf.
dwarf. For some reason.
I'm human as fuck. You're a gnome dwarf.
I'm a dwarf.
The other ironic thing is that technically
Nice
Bingle
try.
is an orphan, though he doesn't realize it. So that's like,
But he doesn't know though.
of the two things that you guys could have in common, like that's a pretty big one.
So I think that's why Bingle immediately sort of obviously Colgrim's very he carries himself very well, and so Bingle's always sort of looking for a father figure.
God damn it!
And so he's sort of but he's not he's not latching onto you like a daddy or anything. He's just like he's trying to model himself after somebody because he doesn't really know how to act in the real world, and he realizes that you. In your talking,
he's trying to find somebody to emulate.
Precisely, and so that's why when you grabbed me by the scruff and I started walking next to you, he would have sort of tried to mimic your body posture and walked with you.
I gotcha.
And then I'm sure you're very open about because you're a proud Boy Scout boy, and so the second you start talking about animals, I'm sure you and I would have started going back and forth about our love for animals.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you anything you want to know about bears and the bears that my people watch over.
Bingle's like, I can tell you anything you want to know about squirrels, rabbits. Flying squirrels, flying rabbits.
What? Wait. What's a flying rabbit?
Basically,
I've never heard of a flying rabbit.
Once every month, my father would make a stew from flying rabbits, and he would basically pick up a rabbit and tell me he would give it to me, and he would say I had to throw it and get it into the stew pot, and that's a flying rabbit.
That is the most uncomfortable thing that you've said the entire time.
Well, I don't know I don't understand what's uncomfortable about it.
I just delve a little bit deeper.
It was we looked forward to that. Okay.
Yeah. So the three of you kind of exchange stories. I'll take you guys are going to keep pretty close to yourselves then.
Yeah, I'm gonna listen like intently.
The conversation was a nice little distraction for Bingle, but the second that it starts getting a little awkward and quiet again, he starts to immediately realize again and remember that he's in a tube in the middle of a sea with a storm outside, and he's like really quiet. He can't eat. He's not eating.
All right. So I think this is probably a good point to maybe like you guys have your dinner and you do some light drinking and then maybe saddle up for the night because you got an early morning the next morning.
Yes.
Okay. So you wake up the next morning at first light. You can see that the overall demeanor on the ship has entirely changed, whereas there were people just kind of not milling about, but not doing anything with any specific urgency. Now people are like really intently moving around the ship. There are people, loading off boxes. There are people going around with lists, double checking and rechecking to make sure that all preparations are done. You can see there are lines of civilians pouring onto the ship and preparing themselves. And Denon actually comes over to the crew's quarters where you guys are now kind of just waking up. and says, "Today's the day, boys. We're really doing this. There's no further time for you to get anything done. So I'm gonna need you to pick up your supplies, bring them onto the ship, and then find your way to your seats. We'll be departing in about an hour."
We haven't departed yet?
No.
No, they were still finishing the ship.
Oh, so Bingle literally had no idea. He thought we had departed this whole time.
No. Denon is like
God fucking
slightly
damn it.
concerned. Like he's looking at you like, okay.
I literally facepalm.
But he kind of
Like,
gives
literally
Colgrim and Malog the eye and says like, okay, let's get you guys on the ship.
Now that Bingle like his weird roundabout brain now, he's like, oh, so this isn't a big deal at all, because he thought he was already done it, so he's already experienced it, so now he's not even scared about it.
Okay.
That is the fucking most insane way of dealing with that.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I made it way worse in my head, but I recognize that. Like,
And he's like, and I made it
for
through
how
that.
crazy your character is, that is a healthy way to look at things. I am flabbergasted.
But it makes sense it makes sense character-wise, I think.
Okay, so you guys are kind of very orderly brought onto the ship. There's all sorts of people kind of running around and screaming orders and telling you where to go and what to do. I do need you three to make some decisions at this point. So you have a seat and a small space on the floor in front of you to which of where you can put different items that you want to have on your person versus stowing in the back.
I don't really have many items, so would I just be able to bring everything?
Yeah, like you could definitely carry your adventure pack, what I'm going to consider
I have,
a backpack.
all I have is my great axe, my adventure pack, which includes just the necessities of survival, and my javelins.
Yeah. Okay, so you're gonna have all that with you.
Yeah, I'm taking everything with
Yeah,
me.
me as
I
well.
mean, I'm ready to go. Like this is
Okay, that's fine.
go time.
I have my my longbow, a little daggy thingy, a backpack, and then that flare gun that is like my prized possession that Denon gave me.
Yes, actually, so that flare gun, I did kind of forget to mention this, I think, in your character episode or in the lore in the beginning. For finding and defeating that guy, you were given a commendation, which was this like military issue flare gun. But it was also seized when you were arrested immediately after. But that was in your possessions. So you have this little piece of technology. It's sort of like a small flintlock pistol that when shot into the air creates sort of a bright flash of flame that can be seen from miles around. But if you shoot it at something flammable, you're pretty sure whatever it is might catch on fire and probably do a little bit of damage too. And they called it a flare gun.
Right on. I just had a thought for the other two guys. Have you guys ever met a gnome before?
So I've seen them because I've gone into the
Yeah.
city, and the city that I'm from has quite a few. So I recognize you as a gnome.
Homestead.
I also recognize that you don't recognize yourself as a gnome, and I'm not quite sure why.
Yeah, and I don't know that. I guess it's up to you, Mod, because I know Homestead gets a lot of traders. Would I have seen any gnomes on the docks or anything like that at any time?
You would have
Or is it
you
more-
would have worldly knowledge of gnomes, but I think your
Okay.
interactions with them would be scarce.
Okay.
It's kind of in the same boat of elves or of dwarves rather, where you know what a dwarf is.
I'm aware of them, and I've seen them every once in a while,
Right.
but it's not like it's not like I come into contact with them frequently enough to discern anything major about them.
Right.
So just out of fiction, gnomes are naturally very ADD riddled anyway. They're like really very over hyper, these little things, and they're constantly running around. But then Bingle is obviously just amped out. So
Right.
if that makes
You take it to a whole
Yeah, exactly.
different like notch
so it's
on
like
the dial.
it's like taking an already naturally hyperactive gnome race
ramping it up.
and then ramping it up.
All All right, so you guys are going to take your seats. I'll take some time here to describe the scene. So, people are starting to pour in to this lower section. Everybody, it's very tense. A lot of people seem to be pretty concerned about the mission. There really isn't a lot of like jovial conversation. It's mostly very serious people preparing themselves for what is an otherwise unknown trip. The crew is almost entirely in the ship at this point, and you can actually see Denon sort of walking up and down the aisle, checking in with people as they go. He kind of gives you a nod as he walks by, and finally he's at the front of the ship and sort of puts a hand out to silence the crowd. And as the room goes quiet, he says, "Now listen, we're going to be going in through quite the storm. It's a big unknown for a lot of us what we'll find on the other side, but I think everyone here is here to help."
Bingle, like he does like a yelp, like a little, but he tries to stifle it.
Like a
After the word
like
storm,
a hype?
after the word storm, like he's like,
Denon definitely ignores that. He says, "We'll be casting off here in just a few moments. I will have to warn you, this isn't like any ship you've been on before. I'm sure, as you all well know, we will be traveling quite fast. Please stay in your seats. Make sure that you're."
is he doing like? Is he got like one of them things? He's like showing how to do the breathing.
The airline thing.
Yeah.
He's like your
He's a
exits.
fucking stewardess.
He's got his arms out. He's like, your
Exits,
exits
though,
are
I'll
here
tell
and
you
here.
Please keep your belts secured at all times, and
I just strap myself in.
let's hope with some luck that we make it through this all in one piece.
I strap Bingle in and then I strap myself in.
Bingle kind of like before you even do it, he kind of like pokes you and quietly tries to ask for help, like
I just help
without
you.
saying, okay, cool.
This is one of those like make sure you put your oxygen mask on before you put on the oxygen mask of the children.
Yeah, so true.
Actually, that's a very good question. Maylog, are you strapping yourself in?
I'm just looking around real quick, seeing everyone strap in, being like, okay, this seems to be what people are doing. I will go ahead and strap myself in. But on the other hand, I'm also thinking to myself, it'd be like a cool test to see like if I didn't have to strap myself in, if like I was strong enough to not do it. Yeah, I'm like thinking about it, but then I see everyone doing it. So
I will
figure,
say
okay.
not actually roll me a perception check.
Oh, okay, cool.
Oh yeah, we can roll dice in this game.
Totally forgot that.
Fuck. I thought I was just role playing.
Thought we were just
My
a word
bad.
adventure.
I like word adventures, so fuck everything.
19? Okay,
I got a
so
19.
you're looking around the ship, and you definitely see that some people are kind of just, like, rolling their eyes. The old doctor you spoke to earlier, he just has, like, his arms around the two people next to him. It's the two assistants you saw him with earlier, and he doesn't have his belt on, despite the two of them very nervously securing it. But yeah, it's most people do have it on, but there are some people who seem to be a little too cool for school.
Bingle is like literally he's white knuckling the straps, and he is realizing now that he made a fucking mistake when he thought that he was gonna be okay.
So, Baylog, what are you gonna do?
I'm gonna go ahead and strap in just to be on the safe side. I don't recognize the doctor as being particularly wise with, certain social things. Okay. So if he's like the prime example of someone who's not strapped in, I'm not gonna.
Yeah. So the three of you strap in, and a few moments later, you feel a heft in the ship as it begins to pull out. The ride is surprisingly smooth,
Until
which is greatly appreciated.
And Cthulhu pops out of the water. Can we all roll initiation, please?
do they have like a barf bag?
No, it's just like
No,
benches.
Okay.
It's just benches. So
is it so smooth that you can't even really tell?
you're
that it's
like
going?
you're on a boat, but like so there are portholes on the side with this thick plated glass. You can see that you're kind of cutting through waves. Like the water, it's like the deep ocean, so it's very rough and choppy. And for how relatively thin the ship is, you might expect that it would be kind of a ride where you're getting rocked back and forth. But the sensation you experience is anything but. It's smooth. It's almost like you're going down a river in a way. But you can tell just by looking at the window, you are going quite fast.
Christ.
So the room is still pretty quiet. People are pretty nervous. You can hear sort of the low hum of just like nervous conversations kind of going from person to person. And you're going for quite some time before you hear the crew start to get a little more active and prepare. Looking out the window, you can see a massive storm, unlike anything you've seen before. It is this sheer wall of a swirling wind and fog that just seems to whip by in the circular motion, miles long. You can see deep cracks of lightning as it shoots through this rotating storm, and it's quite loud. You can hear the winds whipping through the ship, and everything starts to become chilled and cold. As this comes into view, you can hear some gasps through the ship as you see the beast that is in front of you. And perhaps much to your horror, perhaps much to your excitement, you hear Denon scream out from the front of the ship to hold on as the ship actually begins to accelerate. Accelerate to a point where you've probably never been going this fast before.
Bingo literally just starts shrieking.
You're not alone in that, as some of the crew members may be even further excited by the shrieking of the young gnome. There's definitely a small panic that unfolds, and as you see the wall of winds getting closer and closer, you finally make contact with the wall.
I want to point out that I am having a fucking
You're loving
blast,
this?
and I'm finding out I love going super
Okay,
fast.
that's great, because as you hit this wall, the whole ship begins to violently shake. Everything
God.
is rattling around. There are small cabinets that burst open, and things are spilling all over the place. There's blood-curdling screams coming from different people all throughout the cabin. You see people who didn't buckle themselves in instantly, get launched into the air and thrown around. You can't see anything outside. There's nothing but rain and wind and the occasional burst of lightning, and you lose all sense of direction as the ship heaves from one side to the other. I need you all to make a Constitution saving throw.
Oh, this is my specialty.
Wait, I can't do Dex
No.
instead?
Okay, how do I? Where's the button for Constitution?
Oof.
I got a fat
It's
16.
right underneath proficiency bonus on the left-hand side.
Got it.
You'll see. It'll say you got it.
Okay.
Man, I rolled like shit.
Oh!
I rolled an 8.
I got a nat 20, but it's a -1, so I got a 19.
It's still
Beautiful little
still
Bingle.
a nat 20.
So Bingle's just like he immediately just stops shrieking
And he fucking nails
and he
it.
fucking composes himself and
no,
just
no.
looks over at
I think your shrieking actually like leads to a better constitution.
He looks over at
like your inner being is like so at peace.
I
with
guess
your
here's
shrieking.
what happens. Bingle immediately just sees a vision of his dwarf father being like, "Be a man," and he just shuts up and he just turns over to his adventuring partner next to him. He goes, "You all right there, brother?"
So okay, what did we get? So Bingle got critted.
I got a 16.
You got a 16.
And I got an 8.
Malog, you instantly pass out from just the force of being thrown around.
All right, I pass out with a big ol' smile on my face. Though. I want to make that
So, Colgrim and Bingle, the scene that you see becomes quite disturbing as there are people continuing to get tossed around the ship heaving harder and harder with each passing moment. Much to your horror, you can begin to hear the sounds of splinters as the ship continues to rock and almost bend to the force of the winds. I need one more Constitution check out of the both of you.
Oh my god, if I get another fucking crit 20, dude.
Watch you negative crit.
Oh, look at me.
What'd you get?
I rolled a fucking... Wait. Was that...
Yeah.
Did I roll the wrong thing? I rolled the wrong thing.
No. Oh yeah, Constitution.
No, I didn't roll
No.
a save. I rolled a...
Oh yeah, you didn't roll a save.
Well, that's not that much better.
Okay.
I rolled a
What did you get?
fucking... I got a 10 total.
Okay.
Rolled a 4.
Bingle?
Oh no, I got a 7.
Okay. So the both of you pass out.